Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm chatting with Roger Rosmus from Goliath Resources. If you've been following our channel, you know that I recently covered their story in a video essay discussing their impressive drill results from their Golddigger property. At the time, we drew comparisons between Goliath and an early stage Great Bear. Just 10 days after our video went live, the company secured a $10 million financing deal with McEwen Mining, similar to Great Bear. The drill hole that initially caught our attention returned an incredible 34.5 grams per ton of gold equivalent over 40 meters, including a high-grade intersection of 132 grams per ton over 10 meters. And when companies start reporting grades in ounces instead of grams, you know it's something special. But this isn't just a one-off result. Goliath has consistently hit significant intercepts over the years, boasting a 100% success rate across a 1.8 square kilometer area characterized by stacked veins resembling a layer cake. With $7 million cash on their balance sheet and $9 million in deep-in-the-money warrants set to expire this year, the company is well funded for their next phase of exploration. Quentin Henning from Crescat Capital, a notable investor in Goliath, has even compared the project to Alaska's Pogo mine, which is estimated to hold over 10 million ounces of gold based on past mining and current resource estimates. In today's interview, we'll dive into the recent results, discuss the company's upcoming drill plans, and explore what shareholders can expect as we move into 2025. All right, everyone, enjoy the interview. Roger, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate your show. I watch it and happy to participate. Thanks so much.
Well, and I'm sure you saw we recently did a video on you guys referring to your most recent drill hole as the next Great Bear. So we all know how that story worked out, or if you don't, you probably can't find the stock chart because it was taken out at a much higher price than when those original big intercepts were found. I got to ask you, you guys just hit that big drill hole. I don't have the numbers right in front of me. What was it? It was 34 grams per ton gold equivalent over 39 meters, which is a pretty gigantic hole. So tell me where, I love to ask this question. Where were you when you got these assay results? What was the moment like?
I was at home and we knew we had blown up the machine at the photon assay lab. Well, not blow it up. Basically, we hit their limits. We knew we had at least I think it was a 355 gram per ton gold. So they had to reset it and, came back with, this ginormous number. Yeah, obviously you don't see these every day. Really puts the project into context that, the more we drill into the system, the more we're learning about it and learning about where the higher grade material might be. So, essentially, this is in the contact, the Bonanza vein, which is somewhat flatlined. So we're getting actually a lot of plus over ounce material from that area. But back to the hole, within that there was a grade of over 10 meters over 4 ounces, and some people saying what's the true width and so on. I mean, we essentially hit the same perpendicular here, so I would say it's pretty much close to true width. That 10 meters of over the 4 ounce did start in high grade and ended in high grade. But I've been talking to some people, some of the mining folks, and they told me that let's say at Red Lake, I think when they're looking at a panel, if they'll drill 1 in 5 holes, they're actually going to just drift right into the whole panel itself. I think Kirkland Lake is more like if they hit 1 in 7, they're just going to go and drift right into this. So the 39 meters does represent Bonanza. We do have very coarse grain gold there. So I'd imagine in a mining scenario that, that whole 39 meters, it would just drift right into it and follow that vein as far as it goes. Another interesting aspect of that whole 260 that we announced on January the 13th, it daylights probably within about 50 meters. So again, from a potential mining scenario, you're just gonna be drifting right into this thing and taking, the entire sections off and following that vein.
So what's the plan like now? I assume your phone's been ringing off the hook. You did announce a financing with Rob McEwen, which, by the way, we called in that video that we did, and I gotta pat ourselves on the back, knowing that it just seemed like the kind of hole that Mr. McEwen would not be able to sit back and not want to write a big check on. Um, so what's the plan here? How many meters do you guys plan on drilling in 2025? How big of a step out are you guys looking at? What can you tell us?
Yeah, all good questions. Right now, I'll get to the end result question that you've asked. Right now, we're waiting on holes from, pardon me, assays from 29 holes. So we got a lot of near-term catalysts. Basically, of that 89, 50 holes that were drilled in 2024, 42 of them, so 84% have visible gold and or abundant visible gold, including coarse grain visible gold. And then a number, 13 of those holes from the intrusive. 46% of those have visible gold. This is a brand new area of the system that we recognized in 2024, where we have this kind of snow-lined gold-looking material in the intrusive, where we have these little veinlets, where we're actually seeing moly, big chunks of moly, bismuth, and of course, BG. And then some other holes that we reassayed, just some shoulders of some other higher grade type holes that were previously announced between 2021, 2023, which could add to obviously additional meters and lengths or gram meter holes equivalents once we get that news back. And then we do have this potential upside surprise. We're thinking maybe another SK discovery. And people came up to me during the VRIC there roundup saying, what if this your Treasure Island turns out to be another SK and even bigger than Sherbet? I mean, that would be mind blowing. But anyways, from there we have 12 holes assays pending, and then within that we actually see quite a bit of mineralization of a heavy, massive to semi-massive sulfides that were at surface. They were grading that looked similar. Channel cut 0.85 of a meter, ran over 20 grams gold and like 60 grams silver, and then up to, I think it was like 5% copper. So in the copper of the samples we took at Treasure Island, I mean, we had samples up to 14% copper. So we're envisioning a high grade VMS style gold copper rich system. Again, that was a maiden drill target this year. Essentially the glaciers receded. This thing pops out of the glacier. You got a 500 by 450 meter outcrop, and never been drilled or tested before until we came along. So it's pretty exciting. To the question. So we need to wait for all of this information because we've got quite a bit of new data that will be flowing through. We're going to have to update our model. There's going to be a significant iteration that will really give us a better guidance as to where we should be drilling, how many meters, and so on. But my guess would be a similar sized program that we did in 2024. So let's call it roughly 40,000 meters.
Wow. Do you have any sense of how many meters it's going to take in order to take a project like this from the exploration stage into the development stage? Or is that kind of a silly question because we just don't know what we're playing with yet?
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't know. Well, the number one is we still don't know how big it is. So, I'm sure you've seen a lot of these new discoveries. This thing is massive. It outcrops forever. It's, incredibly large. And then you go and drill it and it gets smaller. The more you drill, it gets smaller. Our case is the more we drill, the bigger this gets. Again, we still haven't seen the outside or the parameters of the system because we're hitting brand new zones every year. As an example, we drilled for the first time below the valley floor, about 480 meters with 4 brand new lenses that we didn't know existed in the volcanics. 2 of those lenses actually had visible gold in them, which is, again, pretty exciting. So what does that tell us? There's still more stuff going on down below, and what we're seeing up top in the system, maybe just like the tip of the iceberg, to use that paraphrase. And the mothership or additional, obviously, stacked layers, like a layer cake, continue downward to that mothership, or whatever the intrusive that provided all of the mineralization into the system.
So I think one of the questions that often comes up when I'm just talking with my investors is that you guys are in the Golden Triangle, and this property is somewhat deep. How important is it that you guys have something of really, really large scale in order for this to become attractive for majors to want to come in and maybe take you guys out?
Yeah, I guess the word deep, I would hesitate to call the discovery deep because it does sit on a mountain. So you've got all these shears in the mountain. It does sit above the valley floor. So just that bonanza here sits about 200 meters above. So from a mining perspective, you're not drilling, you're not going down half a kilometer to get mineralization. As I'd mentioned, the hole 260 is really daylighting probably like 50, 60 meters from if you drove and added into the side of the mountain, you're into it. You're into the bonanza. Actually, bonanza does outcrop on the north slope and south slope. We can see it for, a kilometer, well, various points along the way, but shows it potentially be like another kilometer on either side of the mountain. So from that perspective, you're driving at its in, you've got gravity working in your favor. So tick the box. Number two is probably the most important is we're getting a 92.2% recovery with the gold at a 327 micron crush. What does that mean in kind of lay terms is it's a very coarse grain type material. You're not going to need a lot of power to crush that material, which is probably one of the bigger line items in a P&L at a mine site. And then another part of it is we're almost getting 50% of the gold from just gravity alone. So you could pour doré bars on site. So what does that mean? Almost 50% of the gold is almost falling out of the host rock. I mean, that's incredible. So tick the box. The property sits on tidewater on either side of the project. That takes you down to either to Kitsault, where we're based, or you can go down to Prince Rupert. There's about 180 clicks to the south, where you have rail across Canada or deep sea port. We're based out of the town of Kitsault, which was a mine built by Phelps Dodge back in the 70s. That was there for the moly mine that was in production very briefly in the 80s. That housed up to 1,000 people. That town you can drive to in 3.5 hours in Terrace. It has high tension power and everything you'd need to possibly, house 1,000 people to go and run a mine. So we have the ability to, potentially use the old Moly site, or Moly mine site. It's right next door to the town of Kitsault. It does sit on private property and it is permitted, so it's a brownfield. So I think from a permitting point of view, would clearly, I think, fast track the timeline if you're going to take the production using that facility. And then obviously, First Nations very important. The area there, very pro mining, pro business people. So we tick all the boxes. So really, at the end of the day, my feeling is it's kind of like a turnkey scenario. You got a town, you got tidewater, you got awesome metallurgy, no cyanide, no deleterious material required to extract the gold. And you've got added type of potential to go in and mine these stacked shears that we're seeing. And, I would think that, would certainly tick all the boxes for any senior miner to take a serious look at us. And, I think, with McEwen Mining coming in, obviously Rob's McEwen's a personal investor already, but with McEwen Mining coming in, it really, I guess, validates the project. Rob's a very sharp individual when it comes to investing, and they've done very well on their previous investments or strategic investments through McEwen Mining, and we hope to replicate that in manyfold of what's happened in the past.
Now, when I look at the Golden Triangle, it's sort of this area that there was a ton of mining back like 100 years ago, and then it kind of fell out of favor. Kitsalt's one of the most interesting places in Canada. I think it feels like the town from Stranger Things when you see videos on YouTube about it. For anybody who doesn't know, it was like a thriving community, I believe, in the 80s, and now it's kind of like a ghost town, other than camps like yours that set up shop there in the summer. But it feels like when we look at some of these drill results and projects that are in the Golden Triangle, whether we're talking about KSM with Rudy Frank, who we recently had on, or Dolly Varden, or some of these other projects in the Golden Triangle, that with what's happening with metal prices, do you think that the Golden Triangle is going to look like a real booming community, and also that there's this ability for all the different projects to work together to get that infrastructure that's needed to really scale up mining in the area?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know Sean, he's done a great job with Dolly, and wish him all the success. Actually, I'm a big shareholder. So better disclose that. But I'm rooting for them as well. And with every success that happens in the area, builds success for other folks and brings attention to it. SK Creek, at one point, after the discovery, I think they're had the highest gold silver numbers in production at the time, and which is pretty significant. And that's one where there was no infrastructure. Now there's all sorts of infrastructure around. You got the government of BC, the provincial government, looking to spend more money to update roads, power lines, etc. So that's obviously extremely helpful. And at the end of the day, I mean, this is a huge camp, world-class geological setting. Senior miners are looking to come home to roost in a safe jurisdiction, or not to invest billions of dollars, and then there's going to be a change of government, and then all of a sudden it's been nationalized. So we've seen that occurrence in the last few months here. So it's got all the right I think all the right characteristics of a big roll up for any senior miner. Obviously, with Newmont buying Newcrest, they've got a pretty good land package there. They bought GT Gold back, I guess it was maybe 8 years ago now, I think for $500 million. And then obviously with the Newcrest, and then the Bruce Jack mine there in production underneath the glacier, might I add. And so it's a place that these folks want to be.
All right, well, Roger, last question for you. If I am watching the story and I'm going, okay, I'm on the sidelines. I see that McEwen just put in quite a bit of money, and I'm recognizing what happened when he did that on Great Bear and what happened to the stock afterwards. And I'm impressed with the drill hole. I'm buying in the story, but I just kind of want to follow what the company's going to do for the next year. What am I watching out for? When am I expecting drill results? What are those sort of timelines I should be watching?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Before I get there, I just would want to touch on the fact that, at the end of the day, there's a high risk business. Typically, it doesn't turn out this way. Usually it's ends in tears and spilled beers, as we say. But no, we honestly, we won the lottery ticket for our shareholders. Like I say, it doesn't happen that often. And so we're very grateful that it's turning out the way it is. And also, we have not missed on a hole. We have hit mineralization on 100% of the holes that we've drilled in this 1.8 square kilometer area. Okay. So what to look for? Near-term catalysts. We talked about the fact we've got these 89 holes. Majority of them have visible gold and or abundant visible gold. So obviously we're going to be seeing that hopefully in the next, starting at some point pre-PDAC, because again, we need to put that new model together to figure out drilling for 2025. And then, I think you had a question earlier that I don't think I've fully answered it. The idea is, we're going to try and do some infill, try and get some 100-meter spacings in that high grade, over 1 ounce material where we're seeing, 10 meters, 39 meters type of thing. And as well as continue to expand on the known system. And then obviously, what does this reduce intrusive system mean? That's, kind of flowing north-south versus, the veins are kind of sort of dipping to the southwest here. So, is that the plumbing? Don't know. But we'll try and focus on drilling into the mothership. You bet.
Well, Roger, thanks very much for hopping on here today. I think that it's really become one of the stories that anybody who invests in Canadian junior mining's got to be watching. I congratulate you guys on the success, and please keep coming back on here as you go build a billion-dollar plus company and keep talking to us little guys.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Steve, thanks for having me. And, always a pleasure to come on. And yeah, well, look forward to chatting with you maybe on some assays down the road here.
All right, everybody, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this interview, please smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thanks for watching, everyone.